Good morning everybody and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Districts, and today I have a rolling stock update for you. Now I've got a big layout update for you as well, but I thought to myself, well actually I'll probably just break it up and do that separately because this in itself is going to take a little bit of time, because I just wanted to go through with you some of the new stuff that's arrived, what my plans are with my rolling stock, and this is mainly to do with freight at this stage. I'll probably do another one to do with passengers stock, but this is to do with freight mainly on this video. And there's also a bit of a Noah's Ark theme going on with this video because things seem to be coming in 2 by 2. So let's crack on with what I have to tell you and show you, and then what we'll do is we'll have a closer look at everything as we go along through the video. So there's parts of the layout that I'm still debating as to what I'm going to do with, and that I've had issues with. And one of the main things I had issues with was with basically I've had another cull is essentially what's happened, and that's what's kind of diverted a lot of the money for this stuff that you're about to see. One of the bits that's gone is my Eurostar. And the reason why I got rid of the Eurostar is because essentially, because of the nature of my layout, it really didn't like the S-bends, and also the motor in the Eurostar really isn't up to the job. It really isn't man enough for the job, to be honest. It will work fine with the 4 coaches, and I bought the extra 2 coaches, and it just wouldn't work, and it just overheated and cut out, and I just got fed up with it in the end. So in the end it ended up that I can only really use it as a dummy drag, and it's just really not good enough, so I decided just to get rid of it. So I've got rid of the Eurostar. I wasn't happy with it, and so that kind of money went towards some of the rolling stock that you're going to see today. Also, I got rid of some of my, now I've had the layout, this basically you've seen the layout running with a cab view, and you've seen the entire length of the layout, and you've seen what it consists of. And it's not the sort of, I wouldn't say the smoothest layout in the world, and I wouldn't say it because it's not the fastest either. It's very kind of itty bitty and quite a bit of a compromise in order to get it around the flat. And so therefore, now I've had the chance to run some stuff on my trades on my sort of layout as it's going to stand. I've now kind of come to grips with what I'd really like to run and what I'm not really likely to run, and what I'm likely to use and not use. So I got rid of my little kind of PCA wagons, my cement hoppers that I'd weathered, and also my TTAs, my short tankers, not my big ones, but my short ones that I had. And the reason for this is, A, it takes forever and an age to run them because it takes so long to put them on the track. And B, those particular type of vehicles, with all the various links that are on this layout, and single axles, they're more likely to derail than anything. And I've sort of decided that, you know what, I just don't want the hassle. And it was the same with the Eurostar. I just don't want the hassle of having to just get frustrated with it because it's just not working for me. It's not really doing what I want to do. So let's just get rid of it. So in the end, I just got rid of a whole lot of stuff, and I've swapped it out and got a load of other stuff. So that's where we're at right now. And what I wanted to do is, with the costs spiralling just astronomically for anything really nowadays, the idea was to have a good look at what wagons I have on my layout, which ones I wanted to keep, and then basically extend those rakes to make them longer trains. So the bits that I've bought, you've seen before, except all I'm doing is extending the rake of the consist So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just extending the rake of the train. But essentially, I've got fewer consists now, but they're going to be longer. And hopefully it's the stuff that actually runs reliably as well. So, like I said, there is a bit of a Noah's Ark theme towards this, because a lot of the stuff is in twos. Now, the first thing that I've got is basically, now like I said, you've seen this all before. It's just just to show you that I'm extending the rakes. So I managed to get another 2 packs of these GB Rail Freight wagons, and they're twin packs, so there's 4 wagons in total. So now that extends my rake of GB Rail Freight wagons from 8 to 12. So I'm really pleased about that. And they're not the most expensive of wagons, but they're kind of mid-range. You know, they work out about £25 a piece, so it's about £50 a twin pack. I've also managed to get 2 of the rail freight Freightliner versions. So I already had 8, so again this has gone up to 12, so I've now got 12 of these. And I just think it's just gonna, rather than spend money on a complete new rake, I just wanted to extend the rakes that I already had, and which ones I'm likely to keep and want to keep, and ones, more importantly, that actually run well on the layout. To go along with this, I've managed to get, it's not actually rolling stock, but this is also 2 packs of, I didn't realise that Hornby have actually produced some new packs for their containers. So I'd like to get my container, I've always said I need to get more containers for my terminal, and I've managed to get another 2 packs. So one's P&O, and this is the other one. So I've got 2 of those. So they will go onto either the wagons, or they'll go onto the freight terminal itself. It's more than likely that it'll go on the freight terminal. Last and by no means least is, I don't know if any of you guys have seen Dapol's announcements as to what they're doing and what they've announced and what they're bringing out and all sorts. And they announced quite a lot for various gauges. Some seen craft stuff for 00 and O gauge and N gauge, and it's a mixture of stuff across the board. I mean, obviously their main bit was to do with the Class 37s and the Class 90s. But the bit that I was interested in was the bit at the very end, I think it was at the very end, where they were talking about the car transporters that you can get from the Bachmann Collectors Club. And they announced that they're reproducing them as for the Collectors Club. And they were basically saying that they were selling them at an eye-watering £139, I believe it was, £139 for a twin pack. And I've already got some of these already. I was lucky enough that Alan, my good friend Alan over at Dragon Junction, had mentioned about, I think it's probably about a year ago now or so, that I think I got it from it's either from Hattons or Rails of Sheffield, one of the two, I can't remember which one now. We're doing them, he'd seen them, and I'd snapped them up at the time. And I think it was 8 I bought in total. It was a rake of 8 at a very good price, judging by today's standards. And when Bachmann announced it, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that they were doing some more part of the Collectors Club, and it was an eye-watering £140. I did actually want to extend my rake of car transporter wagons but not at the eye-watering £140 that they were asking for. I think that's what they said. It's 130, not 140. And to me, that's just crazy money. But that's just Bachmann for you at the moment. I mean, there's cement trucks. I think it's about £65 or something like that for one. That's not even a twin pack, and that's just crazy money. I don't know how they expect people to put rakes together. I mean, only people with deep pockets, can really afford that kind of stuff, because I can't, certainly can't. But however, because Bachmann had announced that they were doing the car transport stuff, it kind of perked my ears up, and it kind of reminded me that I did want to get some more. And I had a look on eBay, and I have been keeping my eye out on eBay for some time, and I managed to get pretty much the bargain of the century, because I not only got one pack, I actually got 2 packs of car transporters, which I managed to find on a Buy It Now from eBay. And these are exactly the same ones as I've had before, and they match perfectly. I quite like the idea of getting the white ones, I'll be honest. I did like the white ones, but I'm not paying that money for it. So how much did I pay for these? Well, believe it or not, it was on a Buy It Now for $49.99, free postage per twin pack. So it's cost me £100 for 4. Ooh, for 4 of these, instead of £139 for just 2. So that makes these, at this price, at about £25 per wagon, which is absolutely astonishing compared to the £140 that Bachmann are asking for, which equates to £70 per wagon. That is a huge, huge difference. These arrived this morning, and I'm really, really pleased with these. So I've done really well there. So you can find them on eBay, but they are, like I said, they are rare. They're very rare indeed to get hold of. And I suspect that people on eBay, if they have seen what Bachmann are selling them for, they may very well put the price up. I did actually see a twin pack on eBay, which I was considering getting for £70, but that was just for 2. Whereas I've managed to get 4 for 100. The rattling you can hear is actually not because it's broken, it's just the drawbars and everything that attach them together, and the couplings. So now, what we'll do is we'll have a look at my freight rakes as a whole to see what we've got running here at Mildenhall and Districts. So I'm going to see you shortly. So just in case you haven't seen this, and I can fit this in on this one because basically it is rolling stock. Just in case you haven't seen it, a few weeks back I saw Danny from Southline, Southern Line, and in case you haven't seen it, he kindly gave me this twin pack of container wagons with containers on it. So that again will go with the rest of the container freight that I've got going on. So that's really, really cool. So thanks once again to Danny over at Southline, Southern Line for that. So yeah, so now let's get on with the actual looking at what I've got here at the layout. So here we are at Goswell Sidings, and I thought we'd start here because the majority of all the wagons are set up on the main layout, and it's only just going to be one wagon of each, because otherwise it'd take me forever to set up. The reason why this whole rake is sitting here is because this is the rake I've been running last. So we'll start here, and as you can see, I've got 8 of these, and these are Hornby Railroad PTA wagons. They started life off as ARC wagons, and basically I've repainted them. So here is a close-up look of the PTA wagons. Basically I did a little bit of research on Google, and to get this kind of livery, They haven't actually been weathered up as yet, I don't think. I don't think I've weathered these up yet. And essentially, they were ARC yellow, which basically was a livery that was used back in the late 80s, early 90s, when ARC first came out with 59s. So it wasn't really appropriate. But I managed to find some PTAs online through Google, and then I managed to get these ones as a rake of 8. And basically, I resprayed the whole load of them into something a bit more modern that can run on the layout. So these are all complete resprays, all 8 of them. And they were all ARC ones. The only thing that I did leave, the only sort of thing that was left from them, was basically the little information bit that says PTA on it. The stickers came from Railtech, and the decals, the VTG ones, so they came from Railtech. And basically, it was just sprayed with a primer, and that was good enough. It was just primer on the top coat, and that was pretty much the sort of grade that I was going for, and it's come out really nice. It just needs to be weathered and toned down. So in the foreground, we've got all the wagons that I own, not the full rakes, but just a wagon of each, just so you can see what runs here at Mildenhall and Districts. I'm just going to give you a quick pan round, and then we'll sort of go on to talk about just a quick brief description of all of them. So that's the whole pan round, as you can see. So if we just start at the back, you can see my container train. These are all Bachmanns. I did have Dapols, but I found that the Bachmanns ran better and that they were slightly shorter, which was more appropriate for my layout. Danny has also given me another additional pack, which doesn't quite fit on here yet, but there are some sort of things that I was thinking about doing with the container terminal. So I'm not sure yet how I'm going to deal with it, because I do have 1 or 2 issues on the main layout. Nothing major. I could leave well enough alone, but I'm sort of tinkering. So there may be some major renovation going on still. So, but yeah, that's my container train along the back. And at the moment, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 2, which gives me 8, plus the twin pack, which Danny bought me, which will give me a total of 10. If we then come down here, I'm going to just drop you down here. And this is something, I've had this for months. And this is, believe it or not, this is the first time it's been out of the box. It has not run on this layout at all. And the reason why it hasn't is because I've been so busy trying to get this layout up to speed and built to a standard that I was happy with before I could run the trains. I have this thing in my mind, and it's a bit of an OCD thing about running track on bare baseboard, and it just bugs me. And so whenever I see it, I just think there's got to be something, I've got to get on with it. I can't just film on this. Is what's so interesting about running trains on bare baseboard. It just isn't. You need to have something to look at. So basically, I've been working so hard on the layout, despite the fact that I've got these and really wanted to run these, and they still haven't been run. So they will. And the other thing is they've been sat in their boxes. So I need to get them onto the trays so they're not actually in their boxes themselves. So that's part of the issue. Things in boxes just don't get used. Once they're out of the boxes and they're on the shelf or something, you can quickly grab them and pick at them and put them on and use them. When they're in boxes, you just tend to leave them, and I guess that's where I'm at with this at the minute. So these will be getting run, because I spent good money on these. So anyway, so these are the new, well, relatively new Accurascale C-Mex wagons. So I've got 8 of these. So I'm really pleased with these, and they look really, really nice. And right next door is an additional pack that I bought. And basically these are the NACO variants. And basically it's the same as this one. They go sort of hand in hand. I'm going to run them together. They're both Acura scales, and there's 2 of those. So in total, I have 10 of these wagons, these cut downs Acura scale wagons, which are absolutely marvellous. So next we have these pair of F&A wagons. These are both Bachmann's. I've had these for years, and when I bought these 2, they were £25 each, and now it's basically, I think it's 50 odd pound for just the one with Bachmann's pricing. It's about 50, 53 or something like that. But I've had these 2 for years, and they're really lovely actually, because I bought them from the Moorwood Nuclear Flask Terminal for when I had my Behringer layout. So that just goes to show you how long I've had these 2. They run really nice, and there's a nice little short rake if you haven't got much space. And yeah, I've got no problems with those. These are with the flat floors. I think you can get some with the sloping floors, but these are just flat floors. They're really, really nice to look at, and I've just got the 2 of those. So next on my list are these 2, well, it's actually a twin pack of the GBRF MJA wagons by Dapol. And I've since, as I've shown you at the beginning, extended this rake. So now I have a rake of 12 of these. These particular ones that you can see in front of you are weathered. I weathered these ones myself. Just some light weathering, nothing major. And I do like Dapol wagons a lot. I find that Dapol wagons run really, really lovely. So I've now extended this rake from 8 to 12 wagons. And if I just roll these by and bring in the next set, I've got the Freightliner versions as well. And once again, they're exactly the same as the GBRF, but these are the Dapol twin packs of the Freightliner version. And I've also bought another 2 packs of these. So this rake has now been extended from 8 wagons to 12. So I'm really, really pleased. But by looks of things, I haven't touched these ones. So I thought I had touched them, but I haven't. So these are these haven't been touched yet with weathering, in terms of weathering. So I'm going to have to weather these up and get loads into these. So now I've got, like I said, I've extended the rakes both of the GBRF and the Freightliner ones. And I do love the way these Dapol wagons run, which is why I tend to buy them. And the other reason for buying Dapol wagons, which I really like, is the price. I find that you can get a decent rake of these for very reasonable money compared to trying to buy a rake of Bachmann wagons. If you try and buy a rake of Bachmann wagons, it's just going to cost you an arm and a leg. And so these are just very reasonably priced. I mean, this is £50 a twin pack, so that makes them at £25 each, which I think is quite reasonable for a wagon these days. So next on my list of rolling stock is these Hornby TEA wagons. I have to mention Alan from Dragon Junction for these. I had bought some originally, but when I originally bought them, it was because of Alan, actually, because Alan put me onto them, and I think I got these. I think it was these ones that I got as a rake from, I think they were second hand originally when I bought them, or no, it's actually, I think, no, they were brand new from Rails of Sheffield or Hattons. I think it was Hattons actually, because I don't buy a huge amount from Rails. And he'd seen them on Hattons and he mentioned them to me, and I snapped up what they had. And I've since added another 2 from Paul at my local model shop, because he had an additional 2. So I've now got a rake of 10 of these TEA wagons by Hornby. They came with plastic wheels, but once again, Alan had done a video on replacing the wheels and getting them to run better. So they've got rid of the plastic. So I was having issues. I think he was having issues as well with derailing on both. We were both having issues with derailing with the plastic wheels. And so we swapped all the plastic wheels out on these for metal wheels. And as you can see, it just glides. And there's, like I said, I've got 10 of these in the rake. Alan's totally resprayed his. Mine is still as is in the Hornby weathered condition. My priorities were slightly different in terms of I'm not in any hurry to get these done. They may get repainted at some point in the future, but I do quite like the graffiti side of it. So, like I said, I got rid of the shorter TTA ones because I just found that they weren't really going to be appropriate for my layout. I wasn't really going to run them. It's easier to just put on longer freight wagons than it is to do these little shorter ones, especially with so many links that I have. It's just more sort of for them, more reason for them to derail and stuff like that. So I decided that I didn't want to spend forever taking these TTAs on and off the track just to get them set up. So I'd rather just have these longer ones, which is more prototypical of today's railway. TTAs were more sort of 90s and 80s and stuff like that. And but as the years have gone by, we've now sort of more and more into these longer TEA wagons. And like I said, these ones were by Hornby, and these were about 20, I think they were about £26 each or something. The Revolution ones, which I think they brought out with the EWS, which I really liked, they were going for like about £70 and stuff like that, which is crazy. And I think that is, to be honest with you, sort of the going rate. I think even Bachmann's are sort of around that sort of price nowadays. So I was really lucky to get these for about £29 or 20. I think the ones I got from Paul were 26, and I bought the other bunch as a rake from Rails. But yeah, now they've got the metal wheels and they glide easily. So I've had to spend a little bit of extra money to get the wheels sorted out on these, but it was worth it. As you can see, it just glides along really nicely. Next on my list is these Dapol IOA wagons, and they come pristine and they don't come with a load. I've loaded these and I've weathered these. They are about £25 a piece or so, which is again pretty reasonable from Dapol, and that's sort of the mark I'd like to pay, because if you're just going to create a rake, it does get very expensive when the wagons individually already start costing you about £50–60 just for one wagon. But in saying that, your Cura scale cut downs, which I showed you, come as a pack of 2, and I think there was £75 that I paid for those. So they do work out a quite good value when you buy them in multi-packs if you can. These came as singles, and so these are, like I said, they were about £25 a piece. They glide lovely, and they're Dapol wagons, and I do like my Dapol wagons. I think overall, I think they're probably my best wagons on the layout, and that is in terms of price, in terms of detail, and in terms of running. When you just sort of look at it as an overall package, it's got enough of everything to make it really, really worthwhile buying. I do run these a lot because they do run well, and I don't have too many issues with these. And like I said, I have 6 of these, and I've put a load in and I've weathered them myself. So next is these Network Rail J&A Falcon wagons by Dapol. I have loaded these and weathered these, and again, they're around about the same sort of mark, about £25 or so, around £25 to £30 depending where you go. And again, I think they're pretty exceptional value for money. I have 6 of these, and they go really, really well with my IOA wagons. So I can actually couple them both up together, and you can run them as a rake. So I've got 6 of these, and I've got 6 of the J&As. So basically, I can just run them as a complete train, as a mixed train, and it'd be fine. And I'll have a nice long rake of 12 in total for those. Again, like I said, these Dapol wagons, I really don't have too many issues with them. They run really, really lovely, and I'm really, really pleased with these. I just think they look great for to the price that you've paid. And this is, I think, the level of detail that I'd like overall. I think we're getting now to a point where a lot of rolling stock and a lot of locos are way too detailed to run on a layout. And, you know, I just want locos that are ready to run on a layout with a good level of detail. I mean, I don't want to be sort of hyper levels of detail with gimmicks that you may not use, generally speaking, and you're paying for. You know, there's certain things that I just sort of think to myself, yes, it's nice to have these things on the locomotive or on the rolling stock, but if it's going to detract from its operations, I'd rather not have it, and it would save money on the actual cost of the loco or on the cost of the rolling stock. And I just think that Dapol have got a really good balance with their wagons and generally with their locos as well, because their 68s are absolutely fabulous. So although I did have issues with mine in the early days, but since then, yeah, you can't really fault them. So yes, so I think, you know, for the price you're paying, the level of detail you're getting, I think this is about right. So those are my J&A wagons. Next on my list of rolling stock to find here at Mildenhall Districts is this, I believe it's KJB, I could be wrong, wagon, and it's basically steel coil carrier. And these are the ones that Dapol produced. I believe they've produced them in Tiphook grey livery as well. There is another livery of these. And again, you know, this has got a really, really lovely level of detail to it. It runs really, really lovely as well. It's a Dapol wagon, so they do run really, really well. And they've got, the other thing to mention about Dapol wagons is they've got good weight to them. So, and I think that's, like I said, that's the balance overall that I'd say is better than, say, some of my Bachmann wagons, some of my Curoscale wagons. Like I said, this one here, it's got good, they've got good weight to them, good level of detail. The price is just about right. So if you want to put a rate together, it isn't going to cost you the earth, and they run really lovely. I have 4 of these, but that's because they run with my, as a mixed steel coil train with my Curoscale ones, which I shall show you shortly. So I only have 4 of these. I might consider getting some more because I think they're still readily available. And this is another thing about Dapol, which I really like, which I keep finding things, is that they make these runs, and if they run out, there's another batch. It's not one of those companies that, oh, once we've made it, that's it, we've made it, forget it. If you don't get it, if you haven't got your hands on it, forget it, we're not making any more. Dapol isn't like that, and they've proven that so many times with some of the other wagons that I've shown you, where they did make an original release. They needed more because the market was obviously there for them to make more. So they made another batch, they made another one. And that's what you need, because some people may have missed out the first time round, but it's like, you don't have to panic, you can still get it the second time round. So yeah, and they've come with loads. It does open, like, so you can see it opening, so you can put loads in it. Mine don't have loads on it, but I have got the loads for it, but I haven't bothered putting them in. And it's, like I said, it's a great running wagon. I have no issues with my Dapols at all. So yeah, so that's that one. Next is this heavily weathered that I did. Probably not to everybody's liking, but I actually quite like it. They did get pretty mucky, pretty dirty, pretty grimy. So these are originally, these are Curoscale VTG wagons. And originally it was in pristine condition, pretty much like how you can see it there. But obviously they don't run pristine. I did have a look on Google for some images, and I've resprayed them. They're not all like this. Some of them are slightly differently weathered. But yeah, I quite like this, and it's fine. I haven't run these for ages. And I did have a lot of issues with these wagons when I first got them. And I'm not a fan of these particular Curoscale wagons, and I think these early ones weren't particularly great. I had lots of issues with bits being at the bottom of the box when I received them. And I actually went back to the shop to have a look at at one point to get some more wagons. I was thinking of getting some more Curascow ones, and the ones I was getting weren't the hooded ones. These were the other ones, and because I had issues with these ones, I wanted to have a look at the other ones, which were the non-hooded ones, which you can actually expose the coils. And I looked at it, and the bars were falling off on those wagons, and I didn't bother buying it because it's just like, so I've had problems with these where a lot of the handles have fallen off. They're at the bottom of the box. I think there's various other bits at the bottom of the box which I couldn't fathom where they came from. So yeah, these are Curascow wagons I wasn't particularly pleased with, but now, you know, it's all right now. You just put them on the rake and it's just fine. It's just, I would have preferred, if you're going to buy something brand new and you're paying for extra detail and it's marketed as having extra detail and all this kind of stuff, and you know that if you are going to put these things on, is to make sure they stay on in the first place. So this is what I mean between the difference between this and my Dapol wagons overall. It does run lovely, but like I said, I wasn't very impressed. First impressions weren't good of these at all when I got these, and actually when I did a box opening of them, I did actually say so at the time. So next on my list of wagons is Helgen wagon, and I'm not quite sure what they call it, but they did a number of versions of these. This is kind of the unbranded ones, but you do get the cargo wagon ones. And on this one, I have to mention Robert over at Robert's Train Set, because he was very helpful, because he bought a load of these from what I remember, and he was having trouble with his derailing all the time, and I was having the same trouble with mine. And basically he pointed out what he found with the bogies, and that they weren't seated correctly and the axles weren't seated correctly, so they were derailing. And I had the same trouble with mine. So I had to go through all of my Helgen wagons to make sure that the bogies and the axles were seated correctly, to make sure that they ran properly. So not the best build quality. I also did have issues with one or two of them in terms of the actual body itself sits on the chassis and it wasn't clipped in properly. So when you looked at the end, it was slightly wonky because it hadn't been clipped in properly. There was gaps and all sorts. So it wasn't the best build quality from Helgen, but they seem to run all right now. The couplings will leave a little bit to be desired as well. Not the best. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but they're quite droopy as well. So, you know, as far as this I'm concerned, I do like this wagon a lot, which is why I've still kept it. And I've got 8 of them, but I just think can do better comes to mind. So next on my wagon list are these spine wagons by Dapol. I originally had, I think it was about 4 or 5 packs of 2, so I had about 8 or 10 of them. And to be honest, these are my least favoured of my Dapol wagons. I've still got this one left because I converted this one, because originally it was just a spine wagon. But I've converted these because I've actually put tops on them, so I can place track work on it, so I can use it on the engineer's train. So I kept this one, and this was like a little cheap little thing that I did. It just really didn't cost very much at all. And so I kept one, but I got rid of the others. The reason being is I did have a lot of problems with these going around my curves. They didn't seem to like second radius curves too much, and I had problems with them derailing, and I had to make some modifications to them. I did actually do I did do a video on it some time back about it. So I decided to keep these ones, which is one of the reasons why I've actually kept the Bachmann ones, because the Bachmann ones are a bit shorter, so they go around the corners, these tighter corners better. So I ended up getting rid of these some time ago, but I did keep this pair here just for my engineer's train. So that's why I've still got this one. So this is my sole sort of FEA wagon pack. If I just show you, it was just a bit of cards that I used. I did look at it on the images on Google. If you look at the underneath of it, it all blends in very nicely. You couldn't really tell, to be honest, that it's just a piece of card that I've used. But it's a nice way of converting this wagon. It's a very cheap way of converting this wagon. So you can use it as an engineer's train, put some track work, play some track work on the top of it. So that looks quite nice. Next on my list of wagons is this HIA wagon. And it's one of my favourite wagons out of all the ones that I run. Needless to say, it's by Dapol. I absolutely adore running these wagons. I haven't run them recently, to be fair, but I do love them because I see them so often around these parts when I go train spotting. These are HIA wagons by Dapol, and the thing is about these wagons is, I can't really demonstrate it to you, but the weight, it's got such fabulous weight to it, and anyone who's got these will know what I'm talking about. They've got such great weight to it, and they just glide. And the price again on these were about £23, £24. I guess they've probably gone up now, but it was around that price. And you can then get a rake going like that. And again, with Dapol, it's like, I think they've done 2 batches of these, and I think there's another one on the way. So they are popular wagons. They are worth buying. I've weathered these myself. I've put graffiti on them myself. The graffitis come from, basically they're stickers from, I think it's from eBay I got them from. Because basically, whenever you see them running in the real world, they're completely covered and caked in graffiti, generally a lot of them. So, but I just love running these. I've got 8 of these. I'm going to extend this rake when I can, because this rake I definitely want to extend. So I've extended the 2 MGA wagons packs, the Freightliner and the GB Rail Freight, and this is on my list of ones to extend as well to make longer trains, because I'm going to see what fits in the sidings and see how much more I need to extend it by, because these are pretty impressive to see in a rake. They look really, really good. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with these. I love these wagons to pieces, as you can probably tell. And like I said, the only issue I had, I'll be honest, is one time I got one and for some reason Dapol failed to put the axles in them. I don't know why. But that was quickly rectified. I took it back to the model shop and Paul gave me another one. So for some reason they missed out on that particular one. And they also highly recommended, well, at least I highly recommend them anyway. They're fabulous, fabulous runners and fabulous wagons. And they're, like I said, pretty impressive behind the 66. So last, by no means least, on this video is these IPA, or I think that's what they call them, IPA wagons, car carrier wagons. Now, the first thing I should point out to you is that these are not the brand new announced, released ones that Bachmann have just announced. They are the same ones, but this is the first batch of them. And once again, I have Alan to thank for this over at Dragon Junction, because he mentioned this to me a while ago, that he'd seen them. He was browsing on Hattons, I think it was, and he mentioned it to me on one of my conversations with him. And so I checked it out and I bought the whole rate that they had at the time, at a very reasonable price, I should say. Currently, and I say currently, bear with me one moment. If you just have a look, I'm just sort of looking for you now. This is what Dapol, let me just pull you back a bit so you can see it a bit better. So this is from the Collectors Club edition, which I've just got. This is their latest version. So if you haven't got yours, you'll be getting yours shortly. So this is what they announced, that they're doing the new versions. So there's the red version, which is what I've got, and then they've got this nice grey version, which I would have liked. But what I didn't like was the price, and basically the price is about £140, I think it was. It said it was £139.99. And basically what they were saying is they're too expensive to make as a general population thing, which is why they're only offering it to the Collectors Club. Like I said, if you see their Batman Europe latest announcement video, they will explain that on their video. So if you're interested in that, just have a look at that. So this concludes the end of this video and the review of my freight wagons and what I have here running at Mildenhall and Districts. If I'd set them all up, it would have taken me ages, so it's just easier just to sort of show you one of each and explain to you, give you a brief description. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and there is a Susanna's Come Build With Me due out very shortly. I just had it in my head that because I picked up all this rolling stock, I really wanted to get this video out, and I hope you like it, and we'll get some of this rolling stock actually up and running soon. I've now, like I said, I'm really pleased because what I've done basically is I've managed to go through all my freight wagons that I own and managed to sort of condense down. Now the layout is pretty much built. It's not finished, but it's built, and the track work is pretty much as is. I'm now getting a better idea of what rolling stock in general I want to keep, and what runs well and what doesn't run well. And quite frankly, I couldn't be bothered with the Eurostar and the TTAs and the PCA wagons, because, like I said, the Eurostar, the motor just wasn't man enough for the job, and the PCAs and the TTAs, because they're so short, it would take me forever to set up, and I just couldn't be bothered with all of that. And I decided, look, let me just get some good long consists together that will run reliably on this layout, and hopefully that's what I've now got. And basically, by sacrificing those bits, I can reinvest that money to then build up the rakes that I currently do have and that I want to keep, and that's exactly what I've done. So now we've kind of streamlined everything together. Oh yeah, and just before we go, I'm going to quickly spin you round and show you my container wagons that I've just bought, which I did show you in the packet, but they are actually on the layout now. So I'm just going to quickly show you those, and then it'll be bye from me. So bye from Mildenhall and Districts, and until the next time, take care. And like I said, I'll give you a quick spin round, show you the container wagons, and bye. So there you go. So it's these two here that are new, the P&O ones, and these two 20-foot ones here. But I'm going to need to get a lot more. I've been wanting to get a lot more for this layout, for the container terminal. So I will be getting some more. But these ones look great. It provides a nice contrast of liveries and companies. So anyway, until the next time, it's bye from Mildenhall and Varma. Goodbye.